Hello everyone. I'm so sorry about that. I had scheduled my live stream. I, updated all the links. I sent an email out to my email list and everything. I had everything figured out. All I thought I needed to do was click go live. But apparently, when you schedule a live stream in YouTube, you cannot just go live. You need third-party streaming software, which is really, really strange. And I only figured that out like 20 minutes before. Um, so that was a bit of a bummer. And then I tried it. I used OBS Streamlabs, and I know that is glitchy for me. I don't know why. I think it's just my computer. My computer is old, and I just basically need a new one. Yep. So that was a bummer. So yeah, I hope people can find their way to this new stream. I see there's already some people here in the chat. I'm so happy you could make it over to this new stream. You could find it. That's not a good way. Like, I was so relaxed. Everything. Oh well. Anyway, not a good way to start a stream. But let's have some fun. We have Gumi here. It's gonna be an assistant. And this is some of the stuff that we did last week. For those who are new, we're making a comic, basically. I really tried for this episode, I want to say, but for this video, I really tried not to think of this. I'm going to do most of all of this stuff live, so you guys can see how I go about making a comic. So last week we did ideas. This week's going to be about story. How do you make a good story? And this is going to be a very short story. I also asked the people on Twitter where I should be posting the comic, because that kind of indicates what kind of format we need to choose. And, since we're making a short story, I thought it would be good to already have an idea of the format and to kind of think, like, am I going to do like small, a few panel pages? Am I going to do larger pages? So I gave Twitter the options. I should have known that this was going to be the outcome, but I gave Twitter the option for Webtoon, Instagram. I think it was like generic comic pages, just traditional like A4 letter size comic page, to just put on social media, or Twitter. And I should have known this. Twitter chose Twitter. So we're going to upload this to Twitter. And ideally, I want to make a comic that uploads well on both Twitter and Instagram, because those are the two platforms I'm the most active on. That said, if you want to have any say in future decisions, or if you just want to have like generic comic advice, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I tried writing a little bit bigger, so I hope you guys can read it. Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, I'm pencils_stories, and on Instagram, I'm pencils and stories as one word. Yeah, so go follow me there. I also want to direct your attention to my Kickstarter, which is still going. I'm super happy we crossed the 1,600 euros line, which is amazing. I got around, with people before who want a ticket to my course. In total, I now have 10 students, which makes me super happy. We're just over the halfway point. I suspect some people to jump in last minute as well, so I'm really curious to see where we're going to end. If you want to take advantage of the early bird price, I definitely recommend going to howtostartacomic.com. It links through to my Kickstarter page where you can check it all out. There's some other goodies as well related to making comics, like ebooks and workshops and all that good stuff. But I would love to see you in the course. Obviously, we're going to make a comic from scratch, which means we're going to, go into ideas. It's a full module on coming up with ideas, figuring out the format of your comic, where you're going to post it, how long it's going to be, and everything. Then we're going to dive into writing. I have a very thorough module on story. I love talking about story. I have so many slides with all the good examples. And then we're going to go into design. How can you design smartly, and how, what to think about when you're designing comic characters, what to design first, what to leave for later, and, designs for characters, designs for worlds, and props, and all that good stuff. We're going to talk more about workflow. What's a good way to, work on your comic? How, what is the stuff that you need to set up to make it super easy for yourself? What are some templates that you can use so you don't do stuff twice? yeah, and then we're going to dive into making comic pages. So that's the last module, teaching you how to make comic pages. And yeah, all that entails, like how to make smart thumbnails, how to make sure that you make the most out of every step of the process. Yeah, and then the Kickstarter obviously comes with like a community. So there's a Discord group where you can, connect with the other students and where we can talk comics and creativity and all that good stuff. Yeah, so the Discord and some Kickstarter exclusive things. I'm not sure if I'm going to go through with this, but for the Kickstarter, I am doing monthly live stream where you can ask me any questions. And since the group will be small for this first group of students, you can probably get some really thorough feedback. And this is definitely something that you might want to take advantage of, because as the course grows and there will be more and more students coming in, the live streams might either go away because this is a Kickstarter exclusive, or I might do them in some other form. I'm not sure yet about that, but if you want to take advantage of that, definitely do that. So yes, howtostartacomic.com is the link. If you know any people that would like to make comics, that are into making comics, please send them the link as well. It always helps when other people recommend stuff. So, if you not necessarily want to start making your own comic this year, or you're already making your own comics, if you know any people, please let them know. It would be really great to launch with as many students as I can, and just, take this course, slowly take it to the next level. I just really want to build it out over the coming years, maybe do some extra stuff. I'm going to build all of that. I'm going to build all of that in the future. Yeah, so without further ado, let's dive in. These are the ideas that we did last week. So these are the main ideas that we had. And thank you so much for everybody who joined in the chat last week. It was super awesome reading all of your suggestions and, coming up with all kinds of creative creatures and all of that. So that was really, really great. We kind of figured out what kind of a world we wanted to do, which is a swamp. And then we got like the sparkly aesthetic, maybe some fireflies or maybe just do a complete fantasy swamp. We'll see when we get to designing. And our main character is going to be a really cute jackalope. I had heard of the name before. I knew it was something with antlers. I didn't know what, but it's a rabbit. It's the cutest thing ever. So that's going to be our main character. And then we eventually came to the idea of a party in the swamp, because we're going to do sparkles. So we thought of, like fairy lights and party lights. So the idea was a VIP party, either that or a party when they celebrate something and where the jackalope has a special role that he can play. There was also a flower that could be the thing where the party is based around. So yeah, and then there's a few ways that you can start thinking about story. There's a few starting off points. I actually have a video about that. If you scroll through my videos, you'll find that. I did a whole series. It's like a few videos in a row, all on story. It's about theme. It's about story structures and how to start a story. So those might be fun to check out after this. But these are some of the things that more relate to starting with a message. If you're doing a story, with a deeper message, that could be a starting off point. In story terms, that is called a theme. So, for example, very well-known example is The Wizard of Oz. The theme of The Wizard of Oz is not there's no place like home, because that is kind of like a thing that represents the theme, but it is, you might already have what you're looking for. Dorothy really wanted to get away from home, but in the end, home is what she wants to get back to most of all. And then obviously the Scarecrow already had a brain, the Lion was already brave, and the Tin Man already had a heart. So you might already have what you're looking for, is what the characters discover throughout the story. So that's the theme. That's the theme. And these might be these are not themes, but these might give us ideas for themes. So stress versus fun was a suggestion that came out of the chat. The jackalope reminds everybody on the party that the people are super stressed about the whole ceremony around the flower and stuff. So the jackalope reminds them in the end that it's better to, have fun than stress out. So you can create a theme around that. That's let's think. Like stress will suck out all of the fun, or you need to have fun in life, to enjoy yourself. That could be like a theme. There was another point about class, like it's a VIP party. Maybe the jackalope is actually not allowed because of what kind of creature he is. There's only like VIP. I'm doing figure quotes. There's only like VIP people allowed. So that could be, you could do a message about class, like we are having more fun if everybody's invited. That could actually be a theme. So you can start with those things. You can also start just with character, and then think about the character of like, who are they? And then in relation to the whole VIP party, like what is the thing that they want? And maybe the jackalope wants to go to the VIP party, and the obstacle is he can't because he's not a VIP creature. Or the jackalope is invited to the VIP party and has a special role in a ceremony, and he's very nervous, but his clumsiness, that was suggested in the chat, his clumsiness makes everybody worried and makes him worried as well. Him or her, we're not sure yet, actually, what the jackalope is, or it's a they. we can make it a non-binary jackalope too, but I don't know. We're not there yet. But the flower ceremony, his clumsiness could actually be an obstacle to, getting what they want, which is like doing it very right and being liked and loved by the people of the party, and not be clumsy for once, that could be a thing that they want. So you can start with the character and what they want in this story. The good thing is we already had kind of like a setting, and we had a thing that was going on, like an event that's like plot stuff, like there's a VIP party going on. And there's a flower that he either has a ceremony in, or, is part of the whole VIP party thing. So that's a jumping off point, character, and then, what they want, and then the obstacle to what they want, that's a basic of any story. It's like, some people say stories conflict, like good stories conflict. Yes, conflict is a good thing. It doesn't have to be like a super deep conflict. It can just be, a jackalope who's clumsy, and they want to do it right because it's a very important party and it's a very important ceremony. So it doesn't have to be like a conflict, like a drama. It can be something very simple, but it has to, like, we follow characters who have obstacles to overcome, because we have obstacles to overcome. So it really, stories can teach us something, or they can make us feel better because there's others that go through same kind of experiences like us. That's why stories can be so cathartic. So, wants and obstacles. You can start out with the world, like developing kind of like there's a swamp, there's a VIP party, and then you can start from there and get to the flower. Like there's multiple ways to start a story. I don't know, chat. What do you think? Because we kind of have two angles with the jackalope. He either isn't allowed at the VIP party, and I'm kind of partial to that idea, or they have a ceremony that they have a role in. So it's very quiet in the chat. I know some people watching. Feel free to let me know. I'm kind of partial to the jackalope kind of sneaking into the party. And then obviously this is going to be a very short. This is a very short story. So one thing that I did for 24-hour comic day is actually numbering the pages, or numbering the numbers of the pages on my page. And for 24-hour comic day, it's a 24-page comic, and then figure out what happens on every single page. I really don't want to do anything larger than 2, maximum 3, but 3 pages is already a lot to do live. It's a lot of drawing already. So let's see if we can do something in 2 pages. So a story has a setup where you introduce, oh, this is maybe not readable. You introduce your character and their kind of like problem. Usually there's like this daily life of your character. We get to know them. You know, and in a short story, I would make this like 1 or 2 panels. But we'll figure that out later. So you have they introduce the character, they have a problem. Then something happens. And that's the catalyst in story structures. Something happens. And that kind of flips the world upside down. So the setup would be, there's a character, they really want to get into the VIP party, and then the catalyst is they get caught. That would be kind of like a, oh no, what's going to happen now? We have a problem kind of situation. You know, Katniss has to go fight in the Hunger Games, and for the Lion, I'm thinking of the Lion King right now. Lion King is actually interesting because the setup is actually pretty long. The biggest catalyst actually is when his father dies, but we're pretty far into the movie already when that happens. So, it differs for stories. So for this would be like half a page, kind of 3/4 page. So for larger stories, there's all kinds of like beats going on. In our case, let's stick to a very short, simple structure. So the catalyst has a consequence. And that is, we have to find, Natalie said, I like the jackalope with the ceremony roll. We can do 2 outlines if you have time, kind of see what the nicest one is. There's some things in the chat. Gregory says, when I first write a story, I stuck to the laws of real logic. Did that work well for you? Did you, was that like a good kind of like structure for you that really helped you make your comic? I'm very interested in that because it's not usually something that I think about. And Jess talks about, that's a cool way to outline, and I think she's talking about the 24-hour comic day, like numbering system. Yeah, okay, so for this, we are talking about the sneaking into the VIP party and they get caught. And that would probably relate to the more like the class message of like, let's just accept everyone at the party. So the consequence is that, they might be arrested, or, they are publicly humiliated. This probably makes more sense. Like all the creatures like, oh, who are you? You're just a simple jackalope, boo, stuff like that. So I think we're going to go with this one. There's a consequence. And then there's a consequence. I'm following the story spine here, which I did a video about as well. So the consequence of that is like publicly humiliated. And now I'm thinking more of like a sentient flower where the party is based on. And the consequence would be because the jackalope is drawing so much attention, because they are like publicly, everybody is kind of focused on the jackalope. The flower could actually be like, hey, I really like this jackalope, and some ceremony thing that was meant for like this the most VIP creature, they do it every single year. And now the flower is like, oh, I like this jackalope. I don't know if you can read this. The flower could be like, I really like this jackalope, and there's like a resolution, and that would kind of like be your what they call the climax, or like the final act, when whereas where you really get to the theme, like what is it that we need to learn, and that would be like there's tension of like, are are the other creatures going to accept him? Are they going to listen to the flower? Or are they going to do their own thing? And then it's best if your main character keeps kind of in control at all times, because they need to drive the story. It's kind of weird to make it about the other creatures. So, maybe the jackalope gets a chance to prove himself, to do the ceremony with the flower. We could kind of marry these two ideas together. So the jackalope proves themselves. For the strangest reason, I always have the tendency to make animal characters male. It's really strange. I noticed that in myself, and I don't know why that is. I think because all of the animal characters, like the main characters in almost all animation and in Disney, are all male. Think about that. It's always like a male main character, animal main character, and then they eventually either find, like a girlfriend. You have like Nala, or there's what she called Vixie for like the fox and the hound. Was she called Vixie? I think that she was called Vixie in Dutch, but I'm not sure if she's called that in English. Yeah, really, really strange. Like, just pay attention. All the main characters, almost all of them are male. So I kind of think that is why I subconsciously make them all male. We could just go with let's make it a female jackalope, just to shake things up a bit. Okay, cool. So they need to prove themselves, and and then you get to the end, which is, the jackalope changed the other creatures' minds, and now lower class is allowed. And then the message is, we have more fun if everyone is invited. And that's a very deep, very current message, actually. So that could be nice. That would kind of be my outline for this first one. I don't know if you guys still want to do... Yeah, we could do that. We have time. It's only half an hour. Can do another one. Do the outline for the ceremony. So the main idea is like a jackalope has big role in ceremony. And then let's go with the idea again. Thank you so much, chat, for last week's idea. Let's go with the idea that the problem is that the jackalope is clumsy. So everyone is stressed out. Yep. So the intro would be introduce jackalope and make it clear that they are clumsy and that everyone is nervous. And then the catalyst is they either might mess up before the ceremony starts and everybody is completely freaked out. The jackalope wanted to do everything well, and she's been like preparing and trying to practice, but the catalyst could be that, oh no, something that we need for the ceremony is missing. So that could be a thing. Or the catalyst is because it's a very short story, you could actually, this one could almost be a one-pager, I think, because you introduce the jackalopes. Clumsy is like 1 or 2 panels maximum, and then the catalyst is the party starts and we get to the ceremony. That could be like, ooh, this is the moment when I'm going to show that I'm not too clumsy and I can do this. And then the catalyst could be that, yeah, let's just make the VIP party starts. And then consequence. they mess up. That's actually kind of this. I would say that these two are kind of put together. Like the thing that happens is like they mess up, and that has a consequence. Everyone is in shock. But then the next consequence would be everyone laughs. And that's interesting because in a very large story, you have these very, very poignant midpoints. And that's in between these two. Like you have the consequence of the catalyst, then you have the middle part of your story, and then you have another consequence, because in the midpoint you usually flip things upside down. So that's interesting because that's what happens. What is happening here too. So they are in shock, and the shock turns into laughter, and that turns the whole story around. And then everyone, this is like the finale or the climax. They discover, and the jackalope, that's very important. The jackalope discovers, hey, it's not that bad. We are having fun. So this would be more like an internal conflict resolution, kind of like the finale. The battle is inside of the jackalope and kind of like the culture of the party. Because, you know, they were all stressed out. And now, like, the jackalope was stressed out, the other creatures were stressed out, and now they're discovering, like, hey, it's actually not that bad to mess up. That could be another theme. Like, either, you know, it's better to have fun than to be stressed out could be a theme, or it could be a theme of, like, it's not bad to mess up. I actually really like that as a theme. It's not bad to mess up. And then we're having fun is a realization. And then the end is like everyone is relaxed, messy. I don't know what kind of ceremony do you do with flower? Like you figure out this basic stuff and then you fill in like the details. This could actually be a shorter one, I think, than the last one. What do you think? Which one do you like best? We have the it's not that bad to mess up. Jackalope has a special role in the ceremony, or the jackalope's actually not invited, and I say he again. And then she gets discovered, and you know, we found out the flower is a sentient flower, and the flower actually likes the jackalope. So people change their minds, and the theme there is we have more fun if everyone's invited. What do you think, guys? I'm going to take a small sip of water. You see, just this goes to show how much I've been overthinking everything. Yep, been there. Been there a lot. Story. Before I came up with Recollection City, it was just so overcomplicated, and I had such a hard time with it. That's when I actually got into super art block. That was not fun. And I ditched the entire story eventually because I was just so done with it. And that's when Recollection City. I got space for Recollection City. That's when that story came to me. So yep. You say I really needed a theme in more stories when I was little. Yeah. Oh, which one? Music is not bad to mess up. That would be a good theme for me. It just says, I like both stories a lot. Undecided as per usual. I am too. That's why I'm asking you guys. I'm too. Very undecided. I actually like them both. I'm not going to make 2 comics, guys. I'm not going to make 2 comics. Let's see. I actually really like that one. Because it is smaller. It's a smaller story because when you go here, you have to set up, the character needs to go into a party. That's set up. So they go into the VIP party, then they get publicly humiliated, which is not fun at all. Like, we wanted to make a lighthearted story, and now we have like a bullying situation going on, which is that's not the brief that we got. You know, and then this could be small too, like the flower, but then you have like a conversation of like the flower. This could be very visual as well without too much dialogue, and I think you can do this really fast in like 1, maximum 2 pages, which I would really like to do ideally. You know, I'm still undecided. Like, I would have to, if I'm gonna do it digitally, but we're getting to like format and stuff. It's going to be like questions I'm going to ask you guys. You know, follow me on Twitter, pencils_stories, but also on Instagram. I really wanted to, like, I only had 1 question this week, but I really want to ideally divide some questions between Twitter and Instagram. So follow me on Twitter, pencils_stories, and pencils and stories on Instagram. And I will ask you all the questions about materials and style and color, because I really, you know, I want to make this like a community kind of like event, which would be fun. And if you guys want to join along, maybe you want to make the same story. You know, it would be so cool if multiple people make the same story and then see how different everybody does things. That would be really, really fun. Yep. So don't know how much time you have, but just, you know, I'm going to try and do like maximum 1 hour live streams or 1 hour videos. You could just follow along, you know, 1 hour a week, you know, make some comics. Super uncomplicated comics. Like, I might do like a full color story. You might just do this in pencil. I've seen some great comics that were just made in pencil. Not even too much, you know, like shading, or some didn't even have shading at all. But you can, you know, you can make comics on Post-it notes, what I always say. You know, Post-it note 1, introduce the character. Post-it note 2, you know, something happens, they meet someone, la la la. Post-it note 3 is like the consequence. Post-it note 4 is the second consequence, and then you have like a finale, and then you have the ending. So that would be, what is that, 5, 6 Post-it notes? Yeah, and then, you know, some Post-it notes you can kind of expand on them, but, you know, you can have a comic like that, and you can, you know, like storyboard your comic that way as well, and then, you know, figure out kind of like a good arrangement and make it into a thumbnail and then take it into Procreate. You know, doesn't have to be complicated to make comics. Like, I know that my comic Recollection City is not a good example. It's very complicated, but you know, I've made super simple comics. It just, I did ink them because I made them for like student papers and stuff. So it would, you know, we have to photocopy them. So I would still ink them, but I wouldn't even color them, or I wouldn't even use like shading or whatever. You know, just drawn with you know, one of these, just a regular black pen. You know, so that's probably going to be one of the questions I'm going to ask you guys. Like, am I going to make it extremely simple? Do you want to see how I do that? You know, just a black pen, or you want to have a sketch comic with a pencil, or you want to do a full-on colored thing. You could even do watercolor. What am I saying? I do have watercolor though, so that would be a thing. And I could use like should not be doing that. I can use the camera, like the regular camera, instead of having to share my screen. But we'll have to think about that later. Now we're focused on story. So, yep. I think we're gonna go with this one. I hope you guys like it. Just says, color is my favorite part. That's awesome. I know. I did a like a round of questions this week on my Twitter about the comic process and what people found most fun, what people found the hardest, where people get stuck the most, and the answers were so different. And that's always so interesting because that was literally a person said, I hate coloring. And then a few people chimed in like, oh, yes, I know, right? So for some, that is the most favorite part. And for other people, it's the worst. It goes to show that everybody has like different tastes and stuff and things. It's super fun. For me, it's inking. That's the least fun. I do like coloring. Sometimes I think that coloring can get a little tedious, but then also it's super relaxing on the other hand. And I can see that people have that with inking. Some people find it super relaxed to ink because you actually have to go a little slower than when you're sketching. So yeah, I can see that. It's just that I don't personally like it because at that point I've drawn the page so many times, and I like new stuff. I like doing new things regularly, getting new kind of like input, I guess. Which is why inking is not necessarily my favorite. And I draw and sketch pretty fast. So inking, I have to really like concentrate, slow down. Like don't you can ink fast if you want to, but for me that doesn't turn out well because I'm not the best inker yet. So yep, I do like the thumbnail stage the most. Oh hi Simi, welcome to the stream. So glad you can make it. We've just come up with 2 stories, 2 outlines. So we're gonna go with this one. The jackalope is doing a ceremony, but they're clumsy. Everybody's stressed out about it, including our main character. And the party starts. They actually kind of mess up the ceremony. Everybody is like super in shock, and then they laugh about it because it was kind of funny. And they realize that, wow, it's actually not that bad to mess up, and we actually have fun. And then everybody relaxes and have fun. So that's our simple story. All we have left to figure out is the scene's pretty complete except for what is the ceremony. I would kind of go with like the flower because I did really like the idea of the visual of the sparkly flower. So I think last week we actually came up with the idea of the flower blooming very rarely, and then they can kind of know when the flower is going to bloom. Maybe it's something with has to do with a certain kind of it's a certain kind of night when the moon is at its fullest, and then stars are in certain positions. I'm not sure yet, and there's a flower that's blooming, and then maybe it releases the spores, and the jackalope has to kind of catch them in a bowl or something. Could you do that, and then they either drop the bowl or they really cannot catch. That would be funny, but that takes multiple panels, I think, which is like it's more spread out to do that. But they can kind of run around trying to catch the spores, and they don't catch them. But since they're clumsy, I do like the idea of like falling on their face and the bowl is still fine, or there are some spores that fall out, but they can be put back in again. Something like that. Spores, jackalope needs to catch them and drops them. I think we have everything, guys. What do you think? Problem, they're clumsy. Party starts, there's all kinds of creatures that we're going to design. That's for later too. Yeah, I think we have everything. Simi says the petals give good fortune for the ones that get a hold of them. Yeah, that could be a really good reasoning why the spores are so important to them. Yep, and you can kind of indicate that in kind of either background characters or certain kind of imagery that you use on the party. And then we get to the topic of economics in comics, like making it very economic. Making a very economic story where you don't use too many panels. Yep. I love that idea as well. That's awesome. The flower looks beautiful and illuminate. Yeah, I always think about that too. Like sparkles and light, because we're doing the party at night. So there's party lights and a glowing flower. I really like that. And this is way more lighthearted than the other idea. And since last week, I asked the question on social media, like, am I going to do a lighthearted story, a serious story, a realistic story? People said lighthearted. So I think this works better than the other story in that regard. The other story is nice too. I really like that idea. But let's go with this one because it's simpler and, more lighthearted. The jackalope's not excluded from the party, which is not nice. Yeah, I think we're done, guys. Thank you so much for joining in again and, for helping me write a story. And they could literally be that simple, especially if you have a smaller comic. Just as a recommendation, if you want to dive more into storytelling, the books I always recommend are Save the Cat, which is my favorite story structure, and Invisible Ink. Save the Cat is written by Blake Snyder, and that's with a Y. And Invisible Ink is written by Brian McDonald. I really like them. There's so many books about storytelling, and I always say you kind of have to find the structure that works for you. For example, a lot of people use the hero's journey, and that's a structure that I can absolutely not work with. For some reason, it doesn't work for me. It's very complicated, in my opinion, but other people work really well with it. So if that one works for you, use that one. There's the snowflake method that you can Google. And then there's a lot of people who make up kind of like their own structures as well. For a start, I usually use the story spine, this is a small version of that. It's also the starting point that I use in my course as well. If you want to make comics, I am doing a comics course for those tuning in, how to start a comic, and I use the story spine to actually brainstorm, like in combination with brainstorming the idea. I give you a very step-by-step framework for coming up with ideas. You will get ideas when you do this. You will not have to be afraid of the blank page. That's I use usually a combination of the story spine, which is like a very, very small skeleton of a story, which has like the most important elements. And then I usually go in with Save the Cat structure, which is more elaborate, and it uses more like a movie. It's really focused on movies as well. The book is focused on movies, but I feel like the structure in that book is something that really a lot of movies use. And me personally, I really, when I think about story, I usually think about movies. That is something that I really can relate story to really well. So Save the Cat works really well for me in that regard. So then I use Save the Cat, fill in the rest of the stuff. Then you have a story. And then, you can kind of take those beats, those story beats of like the story spine, and you can take the beats of Save the Cat, and then just link them to a page number. If you want to do a limited page comic, if you want to do 24 pages for a 24-hour comic day, if you want to do a 1-page or 2-page comic that we're doing right here, you can actually assign certain beats to certain panels or certain pages. So that's the thing that you can use to outline and have some more control over your outline so that your story doesn't become gigantic. So yeah, Jess asks, will I be posting the outline somewhere? I could do that, but I don't know where. Maybe on Twitter, just on Twitter. This is not the most elaborate outline, so yeah, I could do that. I could make a blog post. I'm so behind on blog posts. I want to turn all my videos into blog posts. Who has the time? Yeah, that's a to-do for the long term. When I don't have 3 jobs. But yeah, I could. I will probably just post it on Twitter. I can put it in. Make an Instagram post and put it in the caption. I don't know, but that's a good idea. I will think about that. And you will probably hear about it either next week in the video or, oh no. Oh, I have to tell you guys, next week, I will do a pre-recorded video because I'm going to take kind of like 2-week break from this series because I will be focused on, finishing up the Kickstarter and, really, really pouring in the work on the course that I'm going to deliver. Yep. So I'm going to do a small pre-recorded video that is just a regular video about how to start a comic. And then next week, I might take a break if I cannot find the time to record another video and edit it and stuff. So I'm very, very sorry that I'm going to take a 2-week break with this. I also will take that time to figure out the next questions to ask on social media and really figure out how to do this whole live stream thing. I might actually what did I want to say? Sorry guys, it's getting late. Yeah, I might actually just ask some questions, and especially about format and what techniques I'm going to use. Because if social media decides that we're going to do like a paper comic, then that would be less problematic because I can just use the camera. But if I'm going to do a live stream, I really, really need to figure. Then I just need to do some tutorials or something about OBS. Maybe I could change some settings and it will be better. Do some test live streams and stuff, but that will take some more time. I did try to live stream for my iPad, which would be ideal. But the problem is to live stream from mobile, you actually need 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of dumb, but that's a requirement. So I don't think you guys can get me through to 1,000 in a few weeks. It would be fun, but I need about like 250 more people to subscribe. So that's not going to happen. Yeah, so we'll see about that. If I'm going to do screen recordings, I might have to pre-record them. And then, I cannot do it live, but I will try to make it as live as possible, coming up with, decisions and ideas on the fly, to show you kind of like the most complete way of doing this. Yeah, so I almost forgot to tell you guys. So we're at the end of this live stream. I do have a checklist for you if you're not already on my email list. Because if you subscribe to my email list, you will get my checklist. The ultimate checklist for starting your comic is what it's called. And it's like an outline that you can just check off of things that you need to think about, things you need to do. And then, if you follow that, you will start your comic. It's basically the very skeleton version of my course. Yep. Oh, thanks, Simi. With your content, you'll easily reach 1K. Thank you so much. It's so nice. You're the best audience, by the way. People, like a lot of you keep showing up every single week in the live stream. I really, really appreciate you guys. Like so awesome, and you're all super enthusiastic about all of this stuff. And I'm just super thankful that you're here, that you're following along on the journey. And I really, really hope it's helpful and that I can help you somehow make your own stories, make your own comics. That would be amazing. Jess says, I would love to create with you, but no, we'll forget it. I'll try to put it somewhere. Yep, we'll try to do that. Well, guys, I guess that's it. We're almost an hour in already. Oh my goodness, time flies when you're having fun and making stories. Yep. So I'm going to end the stream now, guys. Have a great day. Make some comics. Maybe you want to do some art of jackalopes. If you do any art related to this, I would love to see it. Tag me. I'm pencils_stories on Twitter and pencils and stories on Instagram. So just tag me and I can, retweet and share the stuff you do. Have a great time zone relevant exit. I'm not sure what you mean with that, Jess. Yep. But yep, it's getting kind of late here, so I'm going to end the stream now, guys. Bye, and have a good day.